Good morning, everyone. Today, we're going to explore the living pulse of Yellowstone, diving deep into the anatomy of a supervolcano and the incredible ecosystem it sustains. Yellowstone isn't just a place you read about in a textbook, it's a vibrant, living pocket of Earth that occupies the northwest corner of Wyoming, extending into Idaho and Montana. Beyond its breathtaking scenery lies the vast Greater Yellowstone ecosystem, a staggering 20 million acres, making it one of the largest undeveloped tracts of land in the U.S. This presentation will deconstruct the park into its living anatomy, its fiery heart, represented by its geology, its ancient soul, found in its rich history, its wild pulse, seen in its diverse fauna and its ever-changing moods, reflected in its distinct seasons. Let's begin with Yellowstone's fiery heart, a hotspot on the move. The park itself sits directly atop a shallow body of magma, generated by heat convection deep within the Earth's mantle. This persistent hotspot has left a dramatic scar of volcanic deposits stretching across southern Idaho over the past 16.5 million years, as the North American plate has moved over it. The modern landscape we see today was carved by three truly cataclysmic eruptions. The first, 2.1 million years ago, coated an astonishing 5,690 square miles in ash. This was followed by another significant event 1.3 million years ago, and then the most recent major eruption 640,000 years ago. To give you a sense of scale, that first eruption ejected 6,000 times the volume of material produced by the 1980 Mount St. Helens eruption. It truly highlights the immense power beneath our feet. Yellowstone is a place where the Earth literally breathes through its vents. That magma simmering just 3 to 8 miles below the surface creates over 10,000 hydrothermal features. We're talking about geysers, mud pots, and fumaroles, all constantly releasing the Earth's energy. This is a living landscape where the ground is always deforming. For instance, between 2004 and 2010, the caldera floor uplifted a remarkable 10.6 inches, driven by deep hydrothermal fluid movement. To keep a close watch on this breathing, the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, or YVO, utilizes 26 seismic stations and 16 GPS receivers. While the current consensus is that lava flows are certainly possible in the distant future, another super eruption is not considered likely within the next few centuries, which is reassuring. Yellowstone's human connection spans over 11 millennia, a story that debunks a long-held myth. Early park managers often promoted the idea that Native Americans feared the geysers, attempting to market the park as a safe wilderness for tourists. In reality, tribes like the Shoshone, Bannock, Crow, and Nez Perce have utilized this land for an incredible 11,000 years. Their connection was both practical and spiritual. Indigenous peoples used the thermal springs for cooking and healing, and the Crow, for example, called the geysers Bidmachpe, meaning sacred or powerful water. Unfortunately, the creation of Yellowstone National Park in 1872 led to the displacement and exclusion of these tribes, largely to reassure tourists. A poignant example is the 1877 flight of the Nez Perce, led by Chief Joseph, which passed directly through what is now the Lower Geyser Basin. These deep connections are also reflected in the legends of the Steam and Stone. Take the Crow legend, for instance, which tells of a hunter named Old Woman's Grandchild. He killed a buffalo that transformed into a geyser. To stop its continuous puffing, he cleverly placed a mountain lion nearby, which then became a steam vent. Another legend explains the Yellowstone River's origin. A hungry traveler accidentally knocked over an old woman's fish basket. The spilled water became the Yellowstone River. The rocks he piled to try and stop the flow became the Upper and Lower Falls. And the basket itself became Yellowstone Lake. These stories are far more than just folklore. They prove a profound and explanatory relationship with the landscape's violent geology, directly contradicting the colonial narrative of avoidance and fear. The push to protect Yellowstone was driven by a radical idea: preventing the merchandise of nature. In 1871, geologist Ferdinand Hayden, seeing the beauty of Yellowstone, issued a stark warning. He feared that without protection, vandals would despoil its natural curiosities and sell them as merchandise, much like what had happened at Niagara Falls. This urgency led to the Act of Dedication, signed by President Grant on March 1, 1872. This groundbreaking act set aside the land as a pleasuring ground for the benefit and enjoyment of the people, creating the world's first national park. However, early struggles were significant. The first superintendent, Nathaniel Langford, worked without salary or staff. It wasn't until the U.S. Army took over from 1886 to 1918 and built Fort Yellowstone that poaching and vandalism were effectively curbed, securing the park's future. The future of Yellowstone, and indeed American conservation, was profoundly shaped by two influential figures, the philosopher John Muir and President Theodore Roosevelt. While they had different approaches, they shared one crucial goal. Muir, a preservationist, saw nature as a sacred temple for spiritual nourishment. Roosevelt, a conservationist, viewed it as a place to test manhood and a vital resource to be regulated for future generations. Their paths converged, both influenced by Thoreau's caution against over-civilization. Their iconic 1903 meeting in Yosemite cemented the ethos that these natural monuments were an integral part of American heritage. Roosevelt later famously declared, "I want them preserved. It would be a shame to our civilization to let them disappear." A legacy that continues to resonate today. Now, let's turn to a remarkable success story: the grizzly's return from the brink in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. In 1975, when the grizzly was listed as threatened under the Endangered Species Act, a mere 130 bears remained in the entire ecosystem. It was a perilous low point. Today, thanks to decades of dedicated conservation efforts, between 950 and 1,000 bears roam these lands. This recovery is truly extraordinary. However, success brings new challenges. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, along with local states, are currently debating the delisting of the grizzly and the transition to state management. This is a complex discussion, balancing the need for population stability with maintaining vital genetic connectivity across the landscape. Yellowstone is often referred to as the American Serengeti, and for good reason. The bison are the park's iconic symbol, home to the nation's oldest and largest public bison herd, truly defining the park's wild soul. If you visit in late July through August, you'll witness the rut, or baby-making season. Bull bison spar fiercely for dominance in an incredible display of raw power. This spectacle is then followed by the elk rut in the fall. An equally fascinating story is that of trophic cascades. The reintroduction of wolves in the Lamar Valley during 1995 and 1996 restored a critical predator-prey balance. This influenced elk grazing patterns, allowing aspen and willow populations to recover a biological ripple effect that has transformed the ecosystem. Yellowstone's moods are dramatically shaped by its seasons, starting with ice and thaw from November to June. Winter, often called the secret season, sees average temperatures ranging from 16°C to 3°C. The pros include incredible solitude, acoustic clarity for hearing wolf howls, and surprisingly, the dry cold can be quite manageable. The cons are significant, though limited access, with only the north entrance open and most roads closed. Then comes spring, from April to June, a true awakening. The pros here are the baby season, with bears emerging from dens and bison calves being born, making it prime for birding. However, it's also known as the mud season, with difficult hiking conditions, volatile weather, and some roads remaining closed. Moving into the warmer months, we experience the park's full glory and the golden hour from July to October. Summer, during July and August, is the peak season. The pros include full accessibility to all roads and trails, and stunning wildflowers at high elevations. The cons are considerable crowds at major sites, frequent thunderstorms, and higher costs. Finally, fall, from September to October, is often the locals' favorite, known as the golden season. You'll witness the elk rut in full swing, bears engaging in hyperphagia, eating nonstop to prepare for winter, and noticeably thinning crowds. The cons include unpredictable snowstorms and services beginning to close down in mid-October. Navigating this massive landscape requires some planning. At 2.2 million acres, Yellowstone is larger than Rhode Island and Delaware combined. It's truly immense. Logistically, there are 5 entrances, but accommodation inside the park is a limiting factor and must be booked months, sometimes even a year, in advance. Camping is strictly restricted to designated sites. For those venturing into the backcountry, while solo travel is possible on boardwalks around thermal features, hiring a guide is highly recommended. This significantly increases your chances of wildlife sightings and, crucially, ensures your safety in the wilderness. When visiting, respecting the wild variables is paramount. This includes maintaining critical wildlife distances. You should be at least 100 yards, or 90 meters, away from bears and wolves. That's the length of 2 school buses. For all other animals, a minimum of 25 yards, or 23 meters, is required. A good rule of thumb: if an animal changes its behavior because of your presence, you are too close. Thermal safety is also non-negotiable. The Earth's crust is thin here. Boardwalks exist not just for your safety, protecting you from scalding water, but also to protect the fragile bacterial mats that thrive in these extreme environments. Lastly, be prepared for all 4 seasons in a single day. Elevation ranges from 6,000 to 11,000 feet, and temperatures drop roughly 10 OF for every 1,000 feet gained. Yellowstone truly is an eternal teacher, a classroom of giants. As Wordsworth wrote, "Let nature be your teacher," and Yellowstone stands as the ultimate instructor in geology, biology, and resilience. We are merely visitors in a home that truly belongs to the grizzly, the bison, and the volcano itself. Looking to the future, as scientist in charge Jake Lowenstern notes, the park will eventually reawaken in its own time. Until then, it offers an unparalleled pocket of living, breathing earth for us to witness, learn from, and protect. It's a reminder of the raw power and delicate balance of our planet. To put Yellowstone's immense geological history into perspective, consider this timeline. From the major eruption 2.1 million years ago, through 1.3 million years ago, to the most recent one 640,000 years ago, human history is but a tiny blip at the very end. The most recent period of dormancy has lasted an impressive 70,000 years. As you can see, you are here. And as Yellowstone continuously reminds us, it is waiting for you.